Hey guys, how are you? It's Brandon Miller here, and I am here with John Laroni for our first coffee with John and Brandon. Hey John, how are you, buddy?
Things are good, Brandon. Things are good. What's going on your end?
Not too much, not too much. Okay, guys, so listen, let's break it down what we're doing here. So we're going to get in, we're going to do the obvious introductions and everything, and we're going to tell you what exactly Coffee with John and Brandon's all about. But kind of the background a little bit, what we were doing is so John and I have collaborated with Second Passport. We both have our own respective immigration practices, and we're going to introduce ourselves to the people who don't know us yet about that. But what I want to do is we have a lot of conversations because, John and I like each other. Well, I don't know, John. I'm speaking for myself. Hopefully you like me there. Okay, fair deal. But we have all these conversations and we were just like, hey, you know what? Why don't we bring some other people into the conversation? So we've decided to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to meet here. We're going to be broadcasting live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30. And we're just going to have fun with this. So John, take it away, man. Introduce yourself a little bit.
Well, hi everybody, Brandon. Thanks for setting this up. It's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. My name's John Laroni. I have my own immigration practice located out in BC called Gateway Pacific Immigration. You can find out more about me in the Second Passport website. But I've been doing this for 16 years now. I practice in almost all areas of immigration, and it's great. It's a great industry to be in, and it's great to work with people like Brandon, and just to put our minds together and try and figure out big problems or little problems, and just chew the fat in a situation like this. It's just great.
Yeah, you know what? I just put your bio up there, and I always, this is just kind of the, hey, here's John, here's all the stuff. So, it's funny when we work as colleagues in this business. I have my respective practice, and John has his. But it's always nice to kind of collaborate with each other because, again, you get some difficult cases and different things. And John's one of the guys on my go-to list that I'll give a call to, and I'll be like, "Hey, man, how are you?" So yeah, that's that. But again, John, let's talk about you a little bit too, where you come from, right? So the good thing about John, again, as he was saying, he's been in this for about what, 16 years now, John? Really?
Yeah, I did. I worked for somebody else prior to starting my own practice, but for myself, 16 years.
Wow. So you've been through it all, pre-express entry, the old days, all the paper applications and everything, right?
Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah. So again, he's been doing that, but the one thing that John and I always talk about too is he spent some time in New Zealand, sorry, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually where I got my start.
Cool.
In this industry. Yeah.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, it's a very long story, but I'll try and boil it down to its essence. Not to put everybody asleep out there. I was working in the tech industry back in 2000. And the whole thing went south hard and fast. And I found myself working in the interim for a couple of lawyers from New Zealand. And they back then, the practice of immigration was unregulated, more or less. And we did stuff to New Zealand and Australia and Canada, and I was to be put on the Canada desk with this other guy, and we just filled out the forms, and everything was paper-based. There was no online anything yet. And after a while, I realized that while my bosses were good guys, I realized this could be done better. And again, to boil down the story, I decided to come back to Canada after some time there, and I started this up. And so, no regrets, none at all.
That's awesome. And the other thing too, I know you had a part-time gig, was it part-time or summer or when you were working with Borders guys?
Oh wow, we're talking back to the days where the dinosaurs were walking the earth, Brandon. Because I'm even older than you. I used to be a Canada Customs officer. That was pre CBSA. We had these awesome powder blue uniforms, and
I remember
rayon,
like a little kind of shirt.
Yeah, rayon wool mix, very comfortable. Anyway, I did that during university when I was living in Victoria on Vancouver Island. Right on. So that was the kernel.
And most recently, you've been teaching the program at UBC, yeah?
Yeah, for the past 6 years, I believe. I've been teaching temporary entry and practice management at the University of British Columbia in the continuing education department. Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Really great.
Cool. Well, listen, I'll shift gears here a little bit because we're going to keep to a half an hour with everything, and we're going to try to just do some different things there. So let's do this. Let's move into, where are we going here? Oh, what's going on? So what I'll do is I'll introduce myself. So obviously my name is Brandon Miller. I have a company called Maple Immigration Services. Now I'm based in Toronto, John's in Vancouver, east, west, the whole thing. So it's actually noon here for me and 9:30 for him. I've been in immigration about 10 years, and I focus on mostly, immigration in the economic classes. We all do some family and temporary entry and things like that. What's interesting with me and where I've come from a little bit, I'll just put up on the screen there my bio so that we can share that with everybody if anybody wants to read it. But where I came into immigration is I had studied law originally, and then I went off and kind of fell into Asia for like 15 years where I lived overseas. And I got off track down the education thing, but I discovered immigration as something that was really interesting for me, in that, I loved the law and I wanted to get back into it, and it was very focused. But, my love of stuff overseas, I was in the Philippines for like 8 years, right? And I love the interesting area of that world. And what was interesting to me was, then I came back to Canada and I was bringing the world to me kind of deal, right? So it was nice. But I actually helped people settle in to Canada initially as well, which was really interesting for me, because I got to see a lot of the struggles. And I know we've talked about that at length, John, with, it's one thing to just immigrate here, but it's another thing to actually settle in and do pretty well. And that's how we've come together on Second Passport. Yeah. Yeah. So, cool. So why don't we shift gears a little bit and let's talk about, what this is all about. What are we doing here, John?
Well, it's nobody wants to sit here and listen to a bunch of talking heads talk about immigration policies and programs and whatnot.
Right.
So, we're here to, share our knowledge as best we can and, provide guidance to those out there that are perhaps just thinking about the process, it's a kernel in their mind and it's starting to grow, or that they've already made the decision to move here and they're trying to figure out which way to go. And and hopefully from our little talks here every Tuesday and Thursday, you guys can glean something from that, take something from it and use it to your benefit.
Yeah, and that's the idea. One of the things is that you'll find, I've got a YouTube channel and that's more focused on, just doing very informative info sessions, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the whole idea behind it. And a lot of people do that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of content out there that people aren't talking about, right? So that's the first thing. And secondly, we see it through a different lens, I think, when we look at it as professionals, which is interesting. And we just thought that we would bring people into the conversation without just being like, okay, here's express entry, here's this, here's that, because you can go find that information elsewhere. But there's also a lot of, right? You think? Like,
it is. It is. I mean, if, in my honest opinion, a lot of it's not well delivered. I mean, it's ziz inducing. But again, that's not our aim here. So,
yeah, our aim is more to kind of interact with some of that stuff, put it up, and yeah, just let people know what's going on, and
we'll talk about things like a few case studies, a few things that notable cases that we've had in the past, and how a pitfall appeared that neither the client nor really us ever realized that it existed out there. Things that are not written in the manuals and regulations, like the kind of stuff that is
exactly
important. You can only get through, being in this game for as long as we've been in, and literally stumbling across and going, oh my God, I never realized I'm going to have to deal with this. And if we can share that with you guys, all the better.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's basically like, we don't just want to sit here and just talk and, be some boring YouTube or some video that's not actually grounded in facts. And one of the things that we were discussing is that we're actually going to pull apart some of these videos in a fun way, of course, because there's stuff out there that is just plain wrong. So we want you to be aware of that stuff so that you don't go wrong. Look, let's not belabor the point here, John. So we've decided that we're going to commit to getting together every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 Eastern time and 9:30. We'll just pop that up there for everybody. But also, this is what our hope is that we want to have this very community driven, in that if you guys have some questions, again, we're not going to sit here and unpack people's applications or do things like that. But if you have any questions or there's anything that you want to dive into, by all means, throw it in the chat bar, because we might not address it today, but we might actually turn around and say, hey, that's pretty good. We're going to do that going forward, right? Sounds like a good topic. And I think that's what a lot of this is driven out of, because we get a lot of queries all the time from people that, we're like, yeah, and we sit here and we talk about it on the phone or whatever. And then we're like, why don't we share this stuff? This is really good. So that's what we're doing. Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything to add to that, John?
No, just, how many times have you and I called each other and helping each other off the cliff, as we say,
off
the ledge, calm down. It's going to be all right. Just we'll think this through. And so, from those multiple phone calls over the years that you and I've shared, have been some awesome nuggets. And again, we can share it with everybody else. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, listen, that's amazing. And, it's funny because we get a lot of those things where you have to walk through these things, and it's always like, even more so these days with IRCC, it seems that we're dealing with more and more crazy things that would never happen. So
we could just even have a COVID special. We could sit here for the next 2 years and just unpack what COVID has done to the system.
Yeah.
And it will continue to do to the system. It's just, anyways, I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, that's we're gonna definitely jump ahead of that. Hey, listen, there's some people that are putting in some comments here. I'm just gonna acknowledge them. So, Jarrell, hello, shout out from the Philippines. Hi, Jarrell. Thanks for showing up. That's awesome. And Alan didn't have much to say, but Alan kind of said hello. Oh, here we go. We've got somebody else. Nalima from India did a diploma in nursing. What is the caregiver assessment processing time? Okay, so you know what? I'm going to address that, Nalima, because it's the first thing, but I'm also going to use this as an opportunity. We're focused mostly on the economic pathways because unfortunately with the caregiver program right now, what's happening is that the processing times are really long, like really long. So if you have a diploma in nursing, you might actually want to look at something else. Okay. Because with the new caregiver programs prior to COVID, it was a year. And I think after COVID, with all of the different things that are going on, you might struggle with that. So you might want to, look at kind of a nursing pathway or something like that. And I also think, going forward, we're going to speak more because everyone wants to know about jobs and different things. I think going forward, working in Canada with the labor market the way it is might be a little bit challenging, but there is some opportunity there for the right people. And it's going to be interesting to see what the government's going to do as well. Because honestly, caregiving and caring needs has been exposed during COVID. So the current program sorry, go ahead, John.
I'm just agreeing. I was thinking, during COVID about, how our nursing homes and how our elderly have been, hit hard by this, and that the need for living caregivers, I think, especially demographically, as the boomers age, right into their late 70s and 80s, this is a growth area. So, but to your point, processing
it's not
times
being addressed.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because we went the other way. We kind of went that, there's more of a need, but they're cutting supply. Like it doesn't make sense. But we'll just leave it at that. Nalima, I hope that answers your hope that answers your question. Look, we're going to wrap up here in a few minutes. If anybody else wants to throw anything in there, we can certainly do that. This Thursday, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about express entry. So our next session is going to be express entry. We're going to talk about some of the most recent draws. Funny enough, John, I don't know if I told you this. I'm actually presenting to CAPIC on Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm doing Express Entry 101, so we might kind of revisit that as well.
Okay, and for those of you out there, CAPIC is our professional organization.
Oh, yeah, right. Shout out to CAPIC. So it's the Canadian Association of, what is that? Canadian Association.
You better know this. If you're going to get there.
Immigration Consultants. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Canadian Association of Professional Immigration Consultants. Yeah, so it's basically our professional association that apparently I don't know the acronym for. I don't know what's going on with that. So yeah. Anyways, hey, look, before we wrap up here, Shervin just posted something here. How can cooks apply to work and settle in Canada? John, you want to grab that?
Boy, Shervin. It's I know where you're going with this. It's the big question is, so much of economic immigration to Canada is employment driven. There's no two ways about it. You got to get a job. You've got to find a Canadian employer to nominate you, or to offer you a job, and then the Canadian employer can apply for permission to hire you, and that can be done at a federal level or a provincial level. But I know it's frustrating, Shervin. I feel, you're probably throwing your hands up right now going, well, how do I find a job in Canada? To be blunt, to be honest, I don't really have an answer for you. It's a big thing to try and overcome. And Brandon and I will be talking about this at length throughout the series of our chats together about, unscrupulous actors overseas, India, Dubai, Pakistan, Philippines, saying, I've got a job for you. All you got to do is pay me a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
That's not the way to go, unfortunately. It's not the way to go.
Yeah. The other thing too, Shervin, is that normal state of the process is that you would do an LMIA, you would do a work permit. Now, a cook is actually a skill level B job, right? Which means that it does qualify for immigration and whatnot. So you can actually do that, but it really boils down to your experience as well. In that, what's your plan? And one of the things that we talk about as well a lot, at least when we do consultations, and we're like, what do you want to do? Do you just want to come and work, or do you want to come and work and then do you want to come and work and then do you want to apply for permanent residency? Because as a cook, you can do that, right? So you need to plan your process out and know exactly where you're going to go. Anyways, listen, thanks guys for some of the questions there. Again, it's nice to know that people are listening, and we'll take on a few here and there. But listen, what I'm going to do, I want to put something up on the screen here, John, because I wanted some people generally will get some questions here and there, and people will start asking, what can we do, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm actually just going to share my screen here real quick with everybody because we put together this nice little graphic. So here's the thing. Actually, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. If you guys want to reach out to us at any time, there's a few different options. All right. So the first thing that you can do is we have a Facebook community, right? So everybody has a Facebook community these days, but we have one, which is basically facebook.com/groups My Second Passport. Now, I'm not sure where you're watching this right now, but there's going to come a time where we're actually going to be broadcasting into that community, and we're going to be doing community-driven events. And this will be the area where you can actually go and post up your questions and different things. And we'll actually, go and do our best to kind of address those, maybe at a longer type, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a longer session. We might actually take your question and say, hey, that's pretty good. We're gonna roll with that, and we'll talk about that for half an hour because we have lots to say. The second option, if you want to go, you can grab a copy of the Second Passport book, which is basically the system that we use, which is on a very simple basis: planning, implementation, and settlement. All right. So I want to underscore that, guys, because one of the biggest things that, one of the biggest mistakes and one of the things that people don't do is they don't actually have a coherent plan. And any time in life that you actually want to go through anything and do well, you got to have a plan. So you have to plan it, and then you have to be able to execute or actually implement that plan. And then one of the biggest issues that we see is that people will focus only on getting their passport here or getting to Canada. And then they're like, so what do I do now? Right? John, I'm sure you see that a lot with people. They get here and they're like, what do we do? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, a little bit of preparation pays off big time in the long run.
100%. Because again, you have to have it all laid out and then know what to do. The last thing you can do as well, if you have an issue or you have something that you want to address, you can book a consultation with us, and this is a time where you can actually come in, have an hour, go through your personal stuff, put together your plan, your immigration blueprint, or whatever you need to do. And again, you can go to mysecondpassport.ca/booking. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I think we'll just, we'll end there. Just really quickly though, Shervin just put up a nice little thing here. He said, thanks very much for the response. We'll surely make it through. Awesome. So I'm glad that helps. John, did you have any last words, buddy?
Any last words? Well,
any last words for today?
Okay. That sounds very final. No,
for today.
No, for today. We're all good. I just want to thank everybody out there for coming and spending this initial half hour with us. Again, we'll try we're gonna do our best to make our conversations and the content and the bits of information we provide as dynamic as possible. And if and I think Brandon, I'm sure you can agree. If you guys out there think we're falling flat or need to spice it up a bit, tell us, put it in the comments section, and we'll take all the comments to heart for sure.
Yeah. And that's the thing, guys. Please, if you want to do one thing today, join the group and let us know what you want to talk about, because we don't have a script here, right? We're just kind of making it up as we go based on what we see at the time. We're trying to keep things more current. And what we want to do, and what John and I have made a conscious decision to do is to take this the direction that you guys want to go. Okay. This is your time, right? This is 2 times a week, half an hour. We're going to show up. And if there's something you want to see or something we can address, let's go. Cause we're just going to see what happens, because it's going to be fun. Yeah. Right. Awesome. Let's leave it at that, guys. Thanks a lot, everybody. And look forward to chatting with you soon. We'll see you Thursday, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, and everybody have a good time and stay safe. Awesome.
Take it easy, everybody.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, John. Take care, bud.
See you later.
Bye.